This video will demonstrate the Chapter 7 Level 1 case that is on page 496 of your text. So the first thing we need to do is download the data file, which is this sloan.txt. Now this is just a text file, and it looks like this. So I'm just going to copy it. I'm clicking and holding and dragging it down. It's a lot of information. Okay, once I get to the bottom, then I'm just going to right click and copy. Okay, then I'll go ahead and open up Excel. And step 2 says to create a new workbook named Johnson-Sloan. So we'll let Excel open, and I'm just going to do a file and save as and put it somewhere where I can find it. And I will just put it on my desktop for now, and I'm going to call it Johnson-Sloan and hit save. Right, then we're also supposed to create another file, and so I'm going to just hit my new up here, and of course you can get that from your quick toolbar. If you don't have your quick toolbar for the new, just it's right here, but I have it on mine already. So I have a new Excel workbook, and I'm going to paste that in there. So I'm going to click up here at the top and just right click and paste. Alright, so this isn't very useful. I've got to put this into some sort of format that I can use it. Now once again, this isn't very useful data, so we have to do something to make it work for us. So if you'll notice, if I click on cell A1, you'll notice in the results I've got all this information. If I click on B1, you'll notice that it's blank. All the way over here to N, as far as it looks like the data is going in, it's blank as well. So all the way down, if I click on anywhere in column A, you can see that I've got a bunch of information in there. So all of my data is sitting in column 1 right now, and I need to put it into a format that I can use. So the way that I do that, I need to select all the data. So I'm going to click on cell A1, hold my shift key down, and scroll all the way to the bottom of this data. Let me get down to the bottom of it. Just scrolling to the bottom. Okay, there I am. There it is, and I'm going to hold my shift key down and click on that. So now I've selected everything that's in column 1. Even though it doesn't look like it, I have. Because remember, I just showed you that all of the data is sitting right here in column 1. It's just going across, it looks like it's going across the cells, but it's not. So then, if I'm on my Home tab, you just have to click on Data, and then there's this tool under Data Tools that says Text to Columns. So I'm going to click on Text to Columns, and I get this wizard, and it says it's a wizard step 1 of 3. And I can either choose for it to be delimited, or I can choose fixed width. Well, in this case, we want to go ahead and choose delimited. And you'll notice that what I have in here is commas. You see how there's category, comma, product number, comma, description, comma. And then in the second line I've got like this dissecators, something like that. And I have bath, comma, and then there's these numbers with commas in between. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use delimited, and I'm going to choose next. Then I have to tell it how do I want it to segregate the data. And what I want is a comma. I don't want a tab, I want a comma. So when I choose comma, it's showing you right here what it's going to do. So now I can see that I've got a category, and there's a line here, a product number, and it has all the product numbers. And I go all the way across. There's my description. And then I go to quantity on hand. And I've got all of this information. So that's what I want. It's separating it. It's reading that there's a comma in between, and it's separating it. So now I'm going to click Next. And then you have some choices. You can choose for and it's highlighting column 1. So whatever column is highlighted, you can do some different things with it. You can make it general, text, date, or it says do not import this column. So that's a way to get some information. You don't have to import the column. But basically, I don't want to do anything with it. I just want the data in my spreadsheet. So I'm satisfied with it. It doesn't matter that it's highlighting that first column, and I'm going to just hit finish. And when you do that, now this looks like some data I can work with. So that's a pretty neat way to take a data file that's a text file, and you can change it into data that you can work with. So that took me through step 3. It said to convert the information in the worksheet into columns on page 496. So in step 4 it says to sort the data by category and then by product number in ascending order. So the way that I do that, whenever I'm doing a sort, you all should know by now that you've got to be really careful making sure that you're selecting the data across the fields. So the best way to do that is click up here in the corner, and it just selects all of the data all at once. But it's actually, when you click up here in the corner, it's actually selecting the whole workbook. So sometimes that's what you want and sometimes you don't. In this case, it should work just fine. And it says it wants me, let me look again, it says sort the data by category and then by product number in ascending order. So this time I still have my data tools, and I'm going to click sort. And since I selected everything, I do have my headers. So if I deselect that, it's going to try to sort those column headings. So I want to make sure I have my data as header selected, and you'll notice that it takes it away from the data that I'm going to select. Then I want it to sort by category. So I'm going to choose category, and then I'll add a level. And then I need it to sort by product. I need it to sort by product number. And product number is second. So I'm going to choose product number, and I'm satisfied with those sort levels that I want, so I'm going to click OK. Alright, so now you can see that it's sorted by category in nice, neat, in alphabetical order, which is what I want. Okay, step 5 says to use the concatenate function to add the appropriate prefix, and they're giving you the prefix for each of the categories in the table below. So what I did is I created another sheet, and I'm going to use a VLOOKUP in my formula to make this work faster. Now there's different ways to approach this, but this is the way that I'm approaching it. So I went ahead and in sheet 2 I just typed this list out again. So it has Analyzer 600, Autoclave 601, and you can see that it's all in there. The rest of step 5 says, so I have my table here that I'm going to use a formula with, and it says that I need to add this prefix into each of the categories so that the category will actually have, it says like 600-analyzer. So I'm going to go back to sheet 1, worksheet 1, and I'm going to do that. So I'm going to take a couple of steps to do this, and some people may do it differently, but this is the way I'm going to do it. So I'm going to add a couple of columns here. So I want to insert a column, and I'm going to insert another one. And I'm not sure, I might need another one. I can always take them out. Okay, so the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to make myself a formula that I'm going to use the VLOOKUP. So equals VLOOKUP, and there it is. And I'm going to select that. And then remember, I need to define the lookup table. So this is the information that I want to match up to something. So I'm going to get all the way to the bottom. I'm highlighting it. Okay, so there it is. My next step is to put a comma. So I'm going to put a comma, and then I have to define the table array. Well, my table array is, here's my formula being built up here. It's in sheet 2, and it's this entire table that I just typed. So I'm going to define that, and my table's building up here, my formula. I want that to be an absolute value, so I'm going to hit F4, and then I'll insert another comma. So I just did that. The column index number, so I want it to match to Analyzer, and whatever it is, I want it to return the result that's in column 2. So I'm going to type a 2, and then I have to do my range lookup. I'm going to put another comma there. And my range lookup, I either want an approximate match or an exact match. Well, in this case, I want an exact match. I need Analyzer to match up exactly to what's in the table in sheet 1. So I want it to be an exact match, so I'll double click that, puts false up here, and then I can close my parentheses and hit enter. So when I do that, you can see that it returned the value of 600. So since I put my absolute value in here, I'm going to go ahead and just double click here, and it copies the formula all the way down. So let's go and look at our data. Now if I don't have an exact match, I put some mistakes in there on purpose so you can see what to do with this. So I'm scrolling down, hopefully you can see this, and you'll notice that it was working pretty nicely all the way through this centrifuge. But when I look over here, I can see I'm getting an error. I go down some more and it's okay, and I'm getting some more errors. So the reason that I'm getting errors there is because I'm not matching up. I don't have an exact match. I'm going to make column A a little bigger so you can see it. So my guess is that I misspelled in my table over here, I misspelled those words, and sure enough. So I think the easiest way to do that, ones where I got an error, I'm just going to copy. I'm going to copy that, go to sheet 2, chromatology is what I need. Chromatography is what that is. Go to sheet 2. Right, let me look at sheet 1 again, 615. And something isn't right here. Let me check it. Okay, I missed a line in my table, so I went ahead and fixed that. And I'm going to go back to sheet 1 and see what I've got in my data now. Okay, still have some errors. So the way I'm going to fix that is this is probably this is spelled correctly, but my table isn't. So I'm going to just copy that, go to my table and find that this one's, and I'm going to paste special in there because I don't want it to do any sort of cell reference. I just want it to paste in there. If I used a cell reference there, it wouldn't be able to match it up. Now let's go look at our data. So you can see when I pasted that in there with the right spelling, it went ahead and did the formula for the VLOOKUP. Now I've got ultrasonic cleaners here. I still have an error. So I'm going to copy and paste that. Go to my table and paste that into there. Oh, oops, I want to do a paste special because I don't want it to reference the cell. And I'm going to just hit values, paste special with values, and click OK. Alright, when I go back over here, and I'll hit my escape key to take that selection away, you can see that everything is matching up the way it should be now. Okay, so set that up. Now I need to go ahead and use my concatenate. Alright, so I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to choose insert function. So I'm going to double click on the function tool, and if it does, I have used this before, so concatenate is showing up. But if you don't see it in your list, you can search for it up here. So I'm going to just type concatenate in there. I'm going to click go, and there it is. So I'm going to double click on that, and it's going to give me my help. So what I need to do is I need to tell it what do I want to bring together. Now remember, we need to have 601 or the category number with a dash and then the category description. So the category number is sitting here in this cell, so that's the first one I want. And then I need a dash. So the text 2 that I want to bring together, I'm just going to put a dash there. Then I click on the next box, text 3, and I want that to be what's sitting in cell A2. So I'm going to click on that. So what it does, it shows you how it's going to string it together right here. So it's going to put a formula in that cell that says to put 600 dash the information that's in cell B, which in this case is 600, then put a dash, and you'll notice that it puts the dash in quotes because I'm adding it instead of selecting it from the workbook, and then it's going to return analyzer. So you can make sure that you're getting the correct result right here. So this is how that works. This is how concatenate works. So I'm satisfied with that. It also is showing you the formula result right here. So I'm going to click OK, and you'll notice I'll go ahead and size that, and you'll notice that it now has the 600 dash analyzer, which is what we want that to read. So I'm going to just copy that all down, and you'll notice if I go all the way through there, I'm getting the number. For example, here I have the 607, and it's returning that. So at this point I want you to look at this. So there is actually a formula here. And all the way through, all the way down, that formula was built in there. And it's returned, but you see here we've got what it's returning, but it is a formula. Now in this case, it's okay that it's a formula, but sometimes it's not okay. Sometimes having a formula in that cell will mess up future calculations that you want to do. So I've always gotten into the habit of, once I have the result that I want, I go ahead and have a new column and I copy, or in this case I'm going to copy it over here. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to click on that cell, get to the bottom of all my data, and then I'm going to hold down my Shift key and select the bottom of the data, and then I'm going to right click and copy, and then I just want to go ahead and paste it. I want that to become my column A. So in column A, I don't want to copy and paste because it would just copy and paste the formula, and it would goof it up too, because then it wouldn't be able to reference that cell anymore. So in this case, I'm going to right click and I'm going to paste special and click values again and click OK. So now you'll see that it's returning, because I had formulas in this cell, I had the VLOOKUP, and now it doesn't know what to do. It's getting confused because it won't match up anything. And so I'm just going, and that's okay. I could have returned that value right here so you could have seen it. And then I could have copied and pasted it in here. But this works. So I'm going to get rid of those columns now. I don't need them anymore. It returned the result that I want. So then I'm just going to hit delete sheet columns. Okay, so that's kind of looking like what I need. Now the next step is, it says to change the data into an Excel table. To change this into an Excel table, we have this tool up here under the Styles group, and it's just format as a table. So I'm going to click that down arrow, and I can choose any style that I want. It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to choose this one because I like blue. So I'm going to choose blue, and it says where's the data for your table, and you see it's trying to guess where your data is, and that is correct. That is the data, and my table does have headers. So it's selecting the headers, and I'm going to just click OK. Now when it does that, you get these search tools that you can use, and these are really filter tools. So when you click on them, you can filter with all sorts of information. You can deselect things, you can add things, you can take them away by selecting these, and you'll as you learned in the chapter, this then can be, you can create a pivot table with this information. Alright, so that's what that is. And step 7, it says to create a total row to calculate the number of units on hand. So I'm going to come to the bottom of my table, and here's my quantity on hand. And over here, I'm just going to give it a title. I'm going to click total. Okay, actually there's an easier way to do this. I'm going to take that total away, and I'm going to let the program do it for me. So when I click outside of the table, you'll notice I don't have any tools up here, but when I click inside the table, I get some table tools. And so I'm going to click on design, and when I click on design, I get these table style options. So I'm going to click total row here, and when I do that, I get a total row. But that isn't quite what I want, so I'm going to do my undo, and I'm going to hit undo again, and I actually want it to go here. So I'm going to delete that first. I'm going to delete a row here. Okay, because I had started that, it was confused. Okay, so now I'm here in my table. I get my design tools. Design tools come up, and I tell it in my table style options I want a total row. So it formats it really nice. It puts a double line above and a single line below. And then I can come over here and I can tell it that I want to do a sum. You can click on sum, and it's summing everything that's in this column. So the formula becomes equals a subtotal right here with a quantity on hand. Alright, so then I can just copy that across, and now it's summing each of those columns. So I have a subtotal for the quantity on hand and a subtotal for each of the months. Right, the rest of step 7 says to add a new column named total to the right of December. So I'm going to go back up to the top. Here's December, and I need to add a total column there as well. Right, so I'm just going to come up here and I'm going to type in the word total and hit enter. And when it does that, the program knows that sometimes it knows and sometimes it doesn't. And perhaps that's not what I wanted to do. Perhaps I didn't want to add that in. So you get this little choice box, and you can undo the table auto expansion, which it just did, but I want that. You can stop automatically expanding tables, or you can control the autocorrect options. So I just wanted to make sure that you're aware that's there. Now I can use my auto sum button, and I can tell it I wanted to sum from January all the way through December. Now it's putting the formula up here. It's saying sum the table 2 at January to December. I could also, and when I do that, it automatically put everything in there for all. It automatically copied it down into the table to keep the format. It does it automatically. I could have also hand typed that in there by typing equals sum, open parentheses, and I want it to go from E2 all the way to P2. And you'll notice now I have a different kind of formula in there. So whichever way you like to do it, it will work. When I did that, it just copied it all the way down as well. So different methods to do things. All right, so we've got all of this in here. We've got it summed down here on the bottom by month, and now we have it summed across this way, the total by part. And step 8 says to display the top 20 items based on the values in the total column to show the parts with the highest production per month. So the way that I do that, I can click on this total column, and then I can do this number filters. And you'll notice when I hover over the number filters, I get these choices. Well, here I have this choice that says top 10. But I actually, the problem is telling me to display the top 20 items based on the values in the total column. So I'm going to click on that top 20, and I'm going to get some choices here. So I want the top, and I'm going to highlight this and change it to a 20. And then I'm going to click OK. And so what I should have in my result is the top 20 items. And you'll notice now when I have that total column that I have this little filter icon. So that tells me that this column, I'm filtering on this column. So I'm going to click on that again. And if I want to take that away, I just come over here, select it again. Oops. And I want to cancel it. Oh, okay, to remove the filters, we're going to go to Data, and I'm going to click on Filter. It's a toggle on, toggle off button. And when I do that, my data is back to normal. But what you need to turn in with your homework is with that data filtered. Took away my table tool. There we go. Let me turn it back into a... Right, so turning the filter on and off, it's just a on and off click. And so it comes back with the filter on there. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm just clicking filter on the data, sort and filter, and I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. So I have my number of filters, and I want to go back to the top 10 and change that back to 20 and click OK. So now I've got my top 20 items in there. Now there's one, I'm going to just format this just a little bit because as you know, I like things to have commas in there when they're numbers. So I'm going to click on this total column, go to my home tab, and I'm going to put in there that I want it to be a comma without any decimal places. So we'll take that away. Alright, what about my total column over here? I'm going to click on this total column and do the same thing. I want it to be a comma without any decimal places. Okay, so I can click on that filter. I can click up here in Data, click Filter, it goes away, click Filter again, and it's filtered. So let's do that really quick. We'll do the top 20 again. And I could have just been hitting my undo button as I was playing with this. And I'll click OK. Alright, so that's it. That's all there was to this problem. It is not a hard problem. You can see, oh, I have a mistake here, so I need to check that out. So this occurred because when I did my VLOOKUP, I didn't have something spelled right, and I didn't notice it before I got rid of all of those formulas. So basically, I'm going to undo my filter. I'm going to see where that's occurring, and it's occurring right in here between 613 and 619. So I'm going to go look at my table, and I can see that it's occurring between 613 and 619. So I must be missing, this didn't match up correctly. So now my only choice, I could go back and do a VLOOKUP and all of that business, but at this point I know that it's those two things, so I just have to look at my original data and fix it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Alright, so that was a problem, and I went ahead and fixed it by hand. I'm going to turn this filter back on, and I'm going to filter this table one more time, finish this up, and I want my top 20. Click OK, and now my data should look better. Alright, there we go. So that's good. Now the last step is to save it and close it and save it as Johnson Sloan Workbook. So go ahead and save that work. It should look just like this, and submit it.